Hi there, and welcome to the Daily Gardener, an almanac of garden history, literature, and small botanical joys. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is July 10th. A garden writer named Jennifer Latham once wrote a piece called The Joys of July. She wrote, "When you're a kid, you don't really keep a calendar. That's for the grown-ups. The months come and go based on the things that matter. Santa shows up in December. School starts in September. Your birthday lands wherever it lands. But July is different. July is peppered with one good thing after another." Jennifer remembered July 4th as sweet corn on the cob slathered in butter and fireworks watched from Cousin Louise's dock with a root beer in hand. Mid-July was yellow crookneck squash pulled from the garden and cooked with butter and onions, which she called delightful. Late July brought the flood of tomatoes and the first ambrosia cantaloupes. And at the very end of July was the Parsons family reunion. Steamed crabs, fried chicken, fresh corn, sliced tomatoes, and Miss Louise's onion sandwiches. The little cousins went hunting for bubblegum in Mrs. McCord's back lawn by the pine trees, ate her grapes off the vine, swam in her pool, and plucked tart choke cherries right off the branches. That is July in a nutshell. Not a month, but a string of small, perfect, sun-warmed events strung together like beads on a kitchen string. Here's today's garden history. It was on this day in 1724 that the Swedish countess and scientist Eva Ekeblad was born. She came from a wealthy family. At 16, she married a count who lived in a castle. He was twice her age. Her father gave her 2 more castles as a wedding present. As her husband helped run the country, Eva ran the households and raised the kids. And from the outside, she appeared to have everything a woman of her time could ever want. But Eva needed something more. She knew her country struggled with hunger, and she knew where the grain was going. Sweden took its rye, its barley, and its wheat and turned it into liquor. The grain went into the bottles, and the people, often women and children, went without bread. Eva turned her attention to a plant growing in her own greenhouse. It was a nightshade from South America that most Europeans were afraid to eat. The potato. Eva came up with an idea to use it not as food, but to make alcohol. That way, Sweden could keep its grain for bread. She wrote down everything she did, and in 1748, the Academy published it under her name. She called it Attempts at Producing Bread, Spirit, Starch, and Powder from Potatoes. That same year, the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences elected her the first woman they ever admitted. She was 24. And they said they hoped her election would encourage more Swedish women to invent useful things for the home. Eva went on to make more discoveries. She used soap to bleach cotton, and she made a face powder out of potato flour so that women could stop putting arsenic on their faces. She died at 61 in one of her castles, and the Academy waited 203 years before it elected another woman. And it was on this day, in 1759, that the French botanical painter Pierre-Joseph Redouté was born in a small village in the Ardennes, in what is now Belgium. He came from a family of painters. His grandfather painted, his father painted, his brothers painted. And at 13, Pierre-Joseph left home to do the same. And for 10 years, he was a traveling artist, painting church interiors and signs At 23, he arrived in Paris and went to the Royal Botanical Garden, where he worked from live specimens. After that, he could not paint from dried flowers. That's how his roses and lilies look like you could pluck them off the canvas, and how he became known as the Raphael of flowers. One night at midnight, he was called to the palace to paint the Queen of the Night in bloom. The blossom opens one night a year and wilts by dawn. He painted it before sunrise and became the royal painter of flowers. The revolution came. Pierre-Joseph survived. Marie Antoinette did not. Then he painted for Empress Josephine at Malmaison, where he lived beside the best blossoms in all of Europe. His paintings of her roses became a book called Les Roses. His paintings of her lilies became Les Liliacées. Both collections are considered priceless. Then, one summer morning in 1840, he had a stroke as he prepared to paint a lily. It was the last thing he ever saw. He died in June, the month for roses. He was 80. His grave was marked with a wreath of roses and lilies, the two flowers he loved most in the world. In today's Unearthed Words, we hear a confession about nature from the American humorist and playwright Jean Kerr, born on this day, July 10th, in 1922. Jean grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, the daughter of Irish immigrants. She married a drama critic and moved to a rambling old house in Larchmont, New York. In 1957, she published a book of essays about her life called Please Don't Eat the Daisies. It went to number 1. One of them is about writers who moved to the country to get closer to nature. Jean had also read the poem Trees, the one every American schoolchild used to know by heart, about a tree with its mouth pressed to the earth's sweet flowing breast. She claimed she was not moved. She wrote, "Connecticut is just another state to me. And nature, well, nature is just nature. When I see a tree whose leafy mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, I think, well, that's a nice looking oak. But it doesn't change my way of life. Now, I'm not going to stand here and run down trees and flowers. Personally, I have 3 snake plants of my own. And in a tea room, I'm the first one to notice the geraniums. But the point is, I keep my head." Jean said all of that as the mother of 6. I have 4 kids, and I have a couple of snake plants myself. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, Gardens of the Wine Country by Molly Chapelette and Richard Tracy. We close Historic American Gardens Week today with a book that begins in a hot air balloon. Molly Chapelette floated silently over the length of the Napa Valley, over the vineyards and the wineries, and from up there, she saw the hidden gardens, tucked just out of sight from the road, and invisible to anyone who wasn't invited in. Molly is a Napa Valley artist, and in this book, she and the journalist Richard Tracy explore 40 gardens. Molly has known some of these gardens for over 30 years. She's been to their parties and their weddings. She's dug in them, she's pruned in them, and she's moved plants around to encourage a better bloom. Molly says, "Show me the garden. I'll show you the person." Molly says gardeners are the same everywhere. Napa Valley, New Jersey, New Zealand. All kindred spirits. And finally, here's something sweet to ignite the little botanic spark in your heart. It was on this day in 1871 that the French novelist Marcel Proust was born outside Paris in his great-uncle's house. It had a long country garden with a pond and a hedge of hawthorn. At the age of 9, Marcel had his first asthma attack. And even though his father was a physician made famous for fighting the spread of cholera, he was powerless to help his own son. From then on, Marcel avoided the outdoors, and the mere smell of a plant was enough to bring on an attack. As a young man, he tried to write a book for years, but he kept setting it aside. By his 40s, he lived in a single bedroom in Paris and had the walls lined with cork to filter out noise from the city. He slept by day and wrote by night in a bed stacked with proof pages. It became the longest novel ever written. 7 volumes, 3,000 pages. Marcel titled it Remembrance of Things Past, or more literally, In Search of Lost Time. In it, he filled the story with all the flowers he didn't dare smell, but still recalled from memory. Hawthorns in a country lane, apple blossom, lilac hedges, water lilies on the river, and a cup of linden blossom tea with a small cake dissolved in it. Marcel dug up all the places from his childhood and the little moments that made him who he was. He once wrote, "The memory of a particular image is but regret for a particular moment." And houses, roads, avenues are as fugitive, alas, as the years. Marcel died before winter took hold in 1922. He was 51. And half a century later, the little town where he spent his childhood summers officially renamed itself Ekeblad, after the town in Marcel's book. As we close the show today, remember, July isn't really a month. It's a string of small celebrations. The first ripe tomato, the corn that finally tassels, the squash coming in faster than you can cook it, the cantaloupe you split open at the kitchen sink. Every gardener has their own list. None of it lasts. Maybe that's why we go back out tomorrow and eat a tomato, leaning over the kitchen counter. Consider it all joy this July. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.